This is a short tutorial video featuring Alchemy from Camel Audio. In this video, I will show you how to easily customize basic waveforms using the Additive editor. This is a neat little trick to get interesting sounds out of the most basic components. Let's begin. I'll start by initializing Alchemy to its default state. This is done from the File tab, selecting the Clear option. In the initialized state, Alchemy has one source enabled, source A, which contains a single saw wave. Let's examine source A a bit further. Click on the Source tab labeled A. Now you can see all the details of oscillator source A in its additive mode. Note how the oscillator defaults to the VA or virtual analog section. Change this by pressing the Add button. You'll notice how the waveform changes into a sine wave instead of a saw. This happens to be the default and the most appropriate waveform for standard additive synthesis. However, we are not interested in doing additive synthesis. We want to explore what can be done by manipulating the phase relationships of waveforms with a complex harmonic structure, like a saw wave. So, let's start by changing the sine wave back into saw wave. To keep CPU usage to a minimum, let's move the number of oscillators knob to 1. Finally, make sure the pitch knob is set to control harmonics, and then turn it down to 0%. This forces all our partials or our waveforms to the same pitch. Now click the Edit tab to open the detailed Additive editor. What you see first is the main waveform overview. We do not need this view for anything, so let's click the Additive tab to move into the Additive editor. What you're seeing now is the amplitude of a single partial, in this case our saw wave, at a single point in the timeline. Because we are not interested at the moment in changing a sound over time, we need to make sure all the waveform looping happens at a single point. To make sure this is the case, you need to delete the leftmost dot in the timeline editor. This is done by right-clicking it. Once you're done, move both loop handles by holding the left mouse button down on the little flag and dragging it left. Now would be a good time to save everything we have done into a custom oscillator template. To do this, exit the detailed Additive editor and then right-click the source name window and select Save Source. Now you can easily load this template in the future and not have to do all the work we did earlier. Let's get back to our custom waveform creation. Open up the detailed Additive editor again. We'll add a second partial to the mix by clicking right next to the original partial's amplitude block. Make sure it has about the same volume as the original partial. Then open the Phase tab and start experimenting with changing the phase of the partial we just added. As you can hear, changing the phase causes phase cancellation, which will dramatically change the sound of the saw wave. Let's add a third partial to the mix and experiment with the phase and amplitude of all three partials together. To do this, go back to the Amp tab, add a third partial by clicking next to the second block. By adding more partials and messing with the amplitudes and phase, you can create endless variations on the basic waveform. You can also easily change the basic saw wave into any other type of wave that is provided in the Additive oscillator section, but the ones that work best are the ones with a lot of harmonic content. One might think that changing the basic waveform isn't such a big deal, but it is. Depending on the harmonic content and the basic phase of the waveform, the filters will also sound and behave differently. The oscillator is one of the key building blocks to creating unique virtual analog-like sounds, and Alchemy gives you full control over this process.